Did you ever have one of those days where it seemed as if the cards were stacked against you? Where no matter how exhausted you got, you still kept going, no matter what effect it had on you? Well, if you know what I'm talking about, stick around. Or even if you didn't, because I want to tell a little story here of not one, but 3 adrenaline-pumping situations in the span of just 16 hours, right here on the Spaniard Chronicles. Welcome back. This is the Spaniard, keeping it tight. Now, my goal when I first got out of the Marine Corps was just to stay afloat. I had no direction. I had just got back from a deployment not too long ago and was reintroduced to civilian life, and it was a little different than what I was expecting. It took me a while to adapt and improvise, but nonetheless, I did. And one of the goals I had set out for myself at a young age was I wanted to be in law enforcement. I believe that was something that was within me that I felt was a strength that I was good at. As a Marine, I was taught basic fundamentals of warfare, and I learned how to hone on those skills. And I figured, why not? Why not use that to my advantage? And I became a police officer. And one of the goals of at least in my case, was trying to get to the next level. And that's what the story is about, is getting to the next level, but doing whatever it takes to get to that level. So here's the story. I always dreamed of being part of a great team. And I was very fortunate enough to be associated with the right people and be part of a great team, a SWAT team. It was out in the south suburbs of Chicago, and where a couple officers from the different neighboring towns would represent, and when called out, they would be trained and set out to do special operations, search warrants, hostage situations, high intense situations where the patrol division would need more assistance. And so that this team was called out. And I was part of this team, and was very honored because, again, you're looking at a group of people that chose a profession that when the shit really hits the fan, we're running towards it while others are running away from it, where it isn't about the paycheck. Because let's face it, being in law enforcement, well, it doesn't really pay that well starting off. It's gotten better over the years, but in this particular story, most of the guys and even the women that I worked with at the time didn't do it for the paycheck. So here was the situation. We had a objective in a small town outside of Chicago, and it was a drug dealer. It was one of those instances where it got political. The mayor got involved, and local representatives from local government got involved, and it was a problem, and this problem needed to be resolved. And one of the solutions was to go to the source. We got our intelligence by doing weeks of reconnaissance and learning who our target was, how to get to the source of where all this drug activity was coming from. So it took weeks of studying the area, learning the intel that we got from informants, doing the proper reconnaissance, making sure we had the right house. That was very important. And then other little things, other little bits of information that came in useful. And in this case, we learned that this particular drug dealer that we had a warrant for had a couple dogs, bull mastiffs to be exact. And that was one of the risks there. That was one of the things that we knew that was going to be an obstacle. And so nobody likes to shoot a dog. And so anyway, to spare you the grief and the wonder, we did not. The dogs were safe. Luckily, they were a little scared by the flashbangs, and we had luckily Animal control had let us use some of their equipment, those noose things you put around them, so that you could walk them out without them attacking you. So we were able to get the dogs out, and we hit it. It was a successful search warrant. Nobody got hurt. Nobody got injured, both on both sides, police and the bad guys. But this was 3 a.m. Now, if you've never been, well, of course, most of you guys have probably never been part of a special operations unit, but let me set the stage for you. All right, it is dark, zero dark 30. This is after weeks, like I mentioned before, of getting all the information. We set up in a briefing room, zero dark 30. In this case, it was about 3 a.m. We got the call. 3 a.m. was the time to do it, and we got the briefing. We got all the reconnaissance done, and it was go time. We suited up, got to the parking lot, and loaded up into the SWAT. We call it the SWAT vans, right? Whatever it is we had at the time, we just loaded it up, and we headed out to our target area, staged. My job for that one was it's like third man in. All right, so I was lined up. Most of the time prior to this, I had did perimeter. I was ensuring that nobody got in or out wherever I was covering. So most of the time I was a perimeter watch. So this time was my first time going into lineup. So I was third man in, and so we had to go down, and this place was a maze, man. This guy had this elaborate maze of walls down in the basement, and this was something we did not expect. So it took us a while to find him. The dogs were barking when we had flashbang going off after flashbang, and we're talking adrenaline to the max, man. It was chaos, pure chaos. But among the chaos, we were able to get what we needed to get done. And the bonus was nobody got killed. Like I said, on both sides. So we wrapped up. We got everything what we needed. Guys came in, took whatever photos they needed, evidence tech came in. I mean, it was a spectacle. You know, the mayor showed up, other politicians showed up. It was a success, a huge success. I mean, especially in our eyes, in the police world, because again, nobody got hurt or injured, and it was the right house, so everything went well for that particular warrant. So then we all get done. We're clearing out. We're getting back into our vehicles, heading back to debrief. And it's just probably around, 6 a.m. now. Sun's starting to come up. The adrenaline's starting to come down. We're getting ready to take our gear off, and we get another call. We find out there's a hostage situation. It's about, 40 miles away. And so, hey, we didn't have time to really debrief that much. So we had to go. Grabbed our gear, headed off to the next location. It was about 40 miles away. It was way on the other side of where we needed to get. And so we were hauling ass, man, getting over there. We find out as we get there, it's in a apartment building, and not just any small, regular, typical apartment building you guys are probably used to. This was like a 10 to 12 story building. It was high, right? And this, we learned, was on the 7th floor is where a hostage was being taken. I guess domestic call was originally came across the wire, and it got out of hand. And the husband of the party decided to take the wife hostage and threatened to kill her and the kids, and it got pretty messy, or at least the threat got pretty real. So we're heading up there. Okay, now this time, one of our shield guys couldn't make it. He, for some reason, I can't remember what. So I was the backup. So shield, carrying a shield is quite an experience because you're the first guy in, and if bullets fly, this shield is supposed to block it, and you're supposed to protect the people behind you. So this is my first time again. This was a first for a lot this day. First time during the first search warrant. It was my first time being in the lineup, lining up, stacking up, going in. And this was the first time actually being a shield guy for an actual call out. I've trained with it, but never gone out on a call as a shield guy. So now here's another situation where I got to put up or shut up. Now, mind you, we've been up for about, I don't know, a few hours now. 2 a.m. We got the original indication that we needed to meet and brief and go over the first search warrant. So now it's about 7 a.m. I don't know, 7:30. It's the middle of the week. I mean, there's people. Well, actually, no. This was a weekend. This was actually a weekend. It was a Saturday. So there was a lot of activity out. There was traffic. It was a hard time getting to this apartment complex, but we made it. And so we're up there, and the elevators, of course, by protocol, we shut the elevators down. So we had to climb 7 flights of stairs, and I'm the first guy up, and I'm lugging all this equipment, I'm lugging the shield, and I'm up there. And again, this is where I've said this before about being properly prepared. I mean, training. This, working out, not just waiting for 1 day a month to train. This is where all that time at the gym, running, doing all these things that I used to do to prepare myself came in handy, because, man, those were a lot of stairs. I was winded among the adrenaline rush of going towards a threat. So we're up there. We're ready to go. And luckily, we're all mounted up. We're stacked. We're ready to go. We find out what apartment number it is, and we start to head in. And, man, it's just a matter of seconds. It all went down. But I just remember thinking at that moment, like, again, this was my first time. I can't mess up. My mind got the best of me. I was starting to doubt myself, and I started to see my pistol hand. So I'm walking down this hallway, left hand carrying the shield, right hand with the gun pointed just right around the corner of the shield. I see my hand start to shake. Now, I've been in stressful situations before, but this time here was different. I didn't understand why. I was just the adrenaline was just so overwhelmingly powerful that my right hand started to shake a little, and I had to really laser focus on getting that under control. And when I finally did, we got there. Another team from the opposite hallway got the call to go in first. So boom, flashbang goes in, door gets crashed open, flashbang goes in, first team goes in, clears it. I'm the backup guy. We're just waiting there for support. It was cleared. It was a quick, because luckily it was a small apartment, and we were able to clear everybody. Everybody got out safe. So that's 2 for 2, ladies and gents, 2 for 2. We go in, nobody gets hurt, nobody gets killed. We start climbing down the stairs, all of our gear to debrief. But I just realized one thing. As I mentioned before, being in law enforcement, one of the goals that most men and women have is trying to get to the next level in terms of job placement or leadership, management, whatever it is that they want. And in most cases, most people will start at the municipal level, local police departments, and then probably work their way up to the county level, becoming a sheriff, deputy sheriff, working at the courthouses or working on patrol in the county. And then, there's always the option of going to the state level, working for the state police, having a broader territory of responsibility. Usually it's a higher salary. And then, of course, you get people start to work towards the federal level, working for the FBI, DEA, any other of those law enforcement agents, federal agencies. So this particular day, I had applied for the Indiana State Police as part of the Gaming Commission. They were doing some changes, and they were starting to look for special agents to take over the casinos to monitor the compliance and whatever safety and all that, counterterrorism. It was a big to do. Well, this particular day was the physical agility test for that position for the state police. So this was to take place at 12 noon. And this was, again, far away from where I was. I needed to get there by 12 noon. It was around 10:30 in the morning. My guys knew I had to go to this thing, and they told me, dude, just save it for next time, man. Try it next time. You made it this far. You could get this to this point. Just save it for next year when they test again. I wasn't up for that. I knew with the amount of adrenaline that I had, I knew I could do it. I didn't want to wait. I mean, I very could easily have done it, but that just wasn't in my wiring. I've already made it this far. I needed to get to that next level. I was so damn close. So in typical Spaniard fashion, after our briefing, jumped in my car and like a bat out of hell, I'm off to Northwest Indiana to a high school where this physical agility was taken. Didn't even have chance to take off my gear. I just got into the car, shot off like a bat out of hell, made it there with just minutes to spare. Now, this physical agility test was indoors, luckily, but it was in an indoor track. And I showed up with, again, minutes to spare, showed my ID, still had my tactical belt on, I have suspenders, everything was out. I didn't have my magazines out. I put everything back into my case, locked it up, everything was safe, but I still had, my pads on, my knee pads, elbow pads, didn't get a chance to take those off, still had my camo on. Boots. I still had boots on, and I was about to run 1.5 miles. And so people are asking me, "Hey, are you going to change? What do you?" For one, the look I got when I walked in. Luckily, I had ID and I still had my badge because they probably thought I was some kind of lunatic that was probably going to disrupt this testing process. A lot of shit was happening terrorist-wise around the world, so you never know. But I can only imagine what I look like to them. So here I am, typical Spaniard fashion, at the start line. I got to go. 1.5 miles. The timer goes. We're set to go. And yours truly finished with stellar participation. In combat boots. Well, it wasn't really combat boots, but it was tactical boots. Running 1.5 miles in tactical boots, full tactical gear, doing the sit-ups, the pull-ups, all that stuff. I got out. It was done. I passed everything, of course. I made it. It was a no-brainer. I had no choice but to succeed at this point. So I passed, and I'm walking out to my car, and I'm thinking of the last several hours that had just happened. And in most situations, a few years ago, prior to this, I probably would have said, to hell with it. I'm not doing this. Why am I punishing myself? Why am I putting myself through all this? Well, I'm going to tell you this, folks, and here's the lesson that needs to be, this is the lesson that I wanted to share with you guys. I learned a couple things that day. One, if you want something bad enough, you got to be willing to work for it. All right. And this is, some of you guys who are hearing this will appreciate this and know, or you're probably nodding your head right now thinking, yeah, that is right, man. If you want it that bad enough, trust me, if you really want it, you will find a way. I don't know if it's frustration, if it's anger, if you're just tired of being pissed on, kicked on, just tired of being kicked around, you're tired of being the butt of everyone's joke, whatever it is, whatever that motivation is or was. If you want it bad enough, man, come hell or high water, you're going to get it done. And so on that particular day, I was exhausted. I knew what I wanted. I wanted to get to that next level. And so I was willing to do whatever it took. The second thing is, believe it or not, I've been through worse. We look at our situations as we go through this beautiful thing we call life. And we tend to come across roadblocks, and it becomes either a make it or break us. But when you stop to think about it, you've been ready this whole time. You've been preparing yourself because, believe it or not, you've probably been through worse situations prior to this point. And guess what? You got through it. So there's no reason why you can't do it again. So that was the second thing. I've been through worse. I realized this ain't shit, man. Here, at least one, I'm in control here. I have a little bit more control than what I did in the past, in my past experiences where I didn't. So that was key. And of course, the third, and this is the one that I really wanted to share with you guys, is don't let others influence you from getting your goals accomplished. You know what you're capable of doing. And let me tell you this, one thing I learned over these years is how to develop allies, how to create allies, meet people, network. And prior to this, I had reached out to an author, a Navy SEAL, and we stayed in contact for quite a while. We shared stories, and one of the things he taught me was that throughout his life, throughout his training as a SEAL and whatever he'd done afterwards, was that he realized that his body was capable of doing amazing things because of the training, and better yet was the mindset. And that's what really struck home in this particular day, was that my mind was already made up. At 3 a.m., I knew what I needed to get done. I knew I had that test at noon. I could have very easily just called and canceled or said I wasn't coming or just not showed. But I wanted it bad enough. And then again, I knew I've been through worse. And persistence and self-drive is a value that we all have. It's all within us. Sometimes it's a little deeper and we have to dig a little bit out to get it. But nonetheless, it's there. And we need to give ourselves credit whenever we need it. And take advantage, execute. When you have a plan, don't just let it linger. Have something. And again, don't let anyone influence you in a way where it's going to deter you from that. So there you have it, folks. Episode 2 under our belts. Don't ever tell me it's not worth it. I hope you got something out of this, and hopefully you could share this with others. If you are interested in coming on the show as a guest, if you have similar stories or want to share a story that you think people will enjoy or benefit, or even just if you just want to share your story, contact me. Reach me out at blacksheepbravo@gmail.com or hit me up here on any of our Facebook pages, and we'll see if we can make that happen. Also, if you are a company and you're looking for someone to speak at any of your functions, I'm available. Let me know. Same contact information. All right, folks, this is the Spaniard. Keep it tight. Until next time, have a great day. Spaniard out.